Welcome to the BSR Grand Tour here at Suzuka here on Apex Racing TV. Sorry about the technical issues so far in this event. It's been an interesting event so far. Plenty of incidents out there, a few mistakes from drivers, and of course Josh Thompson was leading this event from pole position, but he made a mistake coming out of 130R whilst leading comfortably. But he's inherited that lead to Richard Warmingham. He's run away with this one, 6 1/4 seconds ahead of Ralph Cullen. He's holding off Lane O'Connor currently. Lee Deemer, Jim Flanagan, and Luke Clark in an awesome battle out there, fighting for 4th, 5th, and 6th. 3 of the championship Showdown runners, and they're right in the championship hunt potentially. But so far, no kind of overtakes between those lot. Only got 2 more laps to make a move. Of course, alongside me is Joe Ringrose and Paul Smith as well. And Joe, of course, this has been a really good race so far, but a few mistakes from drivers really showing the difficulty of this circuit.
Yeah, it's been catching them out so far.
Oh, Clark standing hanging on to it.
Yeah, it's been a pretty interesting one. We're just seeing another one there. Excuse me. Some of the drivers have just been struggling really. Had a few spins from drivers, just been by themselves. Just maybe a lack of concentration, bit under braking really, and yeah, we haven't really seen any big incidents between drivers themselves. It's just been individuals.
Yeah, very little contact between cars. Oh, Luke Clark's all over the place there. Got a wheel onto the grass and very nearly lost the car. But it's Deemer all really under pressure from Jim Flanagan. Flanagan did actually make a mistake just going through this corner that we're going through now. Lost the traction on the exit, and that allowed Deemer to get past. But since then, Flanagan has been applying a lot of pressure. Should also mention how Michael Gray was running in a comfortable 2nd place in this event just a few laps ago, making a mistake, which pretty much ended his hopes. Well, he made a couple of mistakes. First, a spin, and then a crash coming out of turn 2, coming out of Spoon, as we're about to see. Just got onto the grass, and yeah, a big hit into the wall, and that's took him out of our contention down in P11. And across the line comes Richard Warmingham to take the race victory. An awesome performance from him. He won around at Brands Hatch just a few weeks ago. And that is an awesome performance from him. And oh, across the line, who's going to take it? It's Deemer ahead of Flanagan still. So Deemer holds on against Flanagan. Got an awesome run, clearly. Oh, and Luke Clark lost out then. So Deemer, so yeah, Clark must have lost out to Flanagan then on that final lap. So something must have happened to him, maybe down into the Casio Triangle perhaps. And yeah, it was not good at all. But an awesome performance from Richard Warmingham. Once he got that lead, Joe, he just ran away with that one.
Yeah, after when Josh spun, it was just sort of Richard's race to lose, and he kept it under pressure and kept it clean and did what he needed to do and won by 7 seconds. So he's going to have some confidence going into race 2.
Yeah, definitely. I think we can now take you through the final results, and it's Richard Warmingham taking the race victory. Like I say, he won at Bathurst, Brands Hatch a couple of weeks ago, and he takes a victory here. A superb drive. Ralph Cullen, good for him, his championship, won the Showdown runners, and that will really help his championship bid. Lane O'Connor, a really good performance from him, showing really good progression, is Lane in 3rd position, claiming a podium. I think that might be only his 2nd of the season. Lee Deemer finishes in 4th, 2nd of the Showdown runners, followed by Jim Flanagan and Luke Clark, fellow championship runners. Anthony Jacobson did well just to pick up on other drivers' mistakes. Started 11th, finished 4th. Max Wright finishes in 8th, and that's David Ayres in 9th. I think he had maybe 1 or 2 issues, but it wasn't too bad. And then Scott Malkin had had a crash but managed to get back out on circuit. Michael Gray was not so fortunate in 11th, and Josh Thompson with that big crash at 130R finishes in P12. And I think we've got a wheel to decide who will be on pole for the second race. Could be quite a big one, this, due to the fact that we're slightly down on runners, down to 12 today, whereas in the past we've had kind of 15 or 16. And it's 16 reverse, so Josh Thompson will once again be on pole. He'll have a second crack at the race win, with Michael Gray in second. He could be a good challenger with Richard Williams starting from the back. He'll have a nice drive along with Ralph Cullen and Lane O'Connor. But just make sure you see that one. Should be with you in about 20 minutes time. So see you then.
In love. When I sat in the car, you know, you always wonder, what's it going to feel like? You know, it was my first time driving a mid-engine GT car. You know, my thoughts were, wow, this is really good for our first time in a car. I was really surprised by it. You're sitting low, you got the A-pillars at steep angles, the windshield's at steep angles, you can see the fender flares. I think we have a chance to win. Everything's got to go right, but I think we have a car that can win the race or be on the podium. But can you imagine how cool that would be to go back 50 years later to the year and do it?
Welcome back to the BSR Grand Tour here on Apex Racing TV. I am back, Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside Joe Ringrose and Paul Smith on the cameras. And yeah, Joe, we saw a good race earlier on. Wasn't so close for the lead, but it was full of controversy, full of mistakes, and in the end had quite a tense battle towards the end between three of the championship runners.
Yeah, I mean, Richard Warrington pretty much ran away with that after Josh spun, but there were some battles in the midfield, which was nice to see. We've got a bit of action, and hopefully we can have some in this next race with the reverse grid.
Yeah, definitely, and it was a full reverse grid, so Josh Thompson, I think, as long as he classifies for the reverse grid, which I think he does, I think he'll be on pole position for this one, just as he was in the first race. Hopefully, will go slightly better for him. And of course, in the championship, this is the penultimate round of the season. Just got one next week, and then that'll be it. And of course, we have the showdown format. So coming after round number 9. The championship runners were eliminated down to 6, which was Deemer, Clark, Flanagan, Cullinan, Smith, and Stevens. Last week, Smith and Stevens were unable to attend. Stevens was unable to attend actually earlier on as well, but he is now in for this race. But going into this round, at least, Lee Deemer was leading the championship by 12 points over Luke Clark. And Jim Flanagan were joint on points, followed by Ralph Cullinan in 4th. Anwar Smith was still in the championship battle, but he hasn't failed. He's failed to turn up to date, so his championship is over. And Stevens still has a small chance. He came into this round 45 points behind. I think he's more like 55 points behind now, probably over and with. But with Cullinan finishing well in that first race, he's now up into 2nd in the championship. And generally, Joe, it's just really close. Is the point I'm trying to make. Deemer, Clark, Flanagan, and Cullinan all have a great chance at winning this championship.
Yeah, all of them do, as you mentioned, and anything can happen if one of them DNFs or something happens to them this race. Who knows what could happen? Points-wise, it's pretty difficult to work it out over the 3 races, but we will know that. We'll probably expect some switching up between the 4 of them, considering there's just 15 points separating them at the start of these 3 races.
Yeah, definitely, and I think the championship scoring system is based on MotoGP scoring, so that one. So you can make up the points. So, for example, a 10th, I think, is worth 5 points. A 1st is worth 25. So, you know, a bad result here and there can really cost you, and it can easily change. We have now advanced the session, so we can go through the grid. And Scott Malcolm actually on pole position. So he was the first eligible driver because he was only 2 laps down on the lead. So he is on pole position for this one, followed by David Ayres. Max Verstappen starts in 3rd in the Audi, followed by Anthony Jacobson. Those 4, maybe not the fastest drivers in this series. Maybe Ayres will be able to do well, but the 3 behind at least, 3 championship challengers: Clark, Flanagan, Deemer in 5th, 6th, and 7th. Then it's Lane O'Connor in 8th, who had a really good run to 3rd in the first race. Ralph Cullinan, another championship contender, in 9th. Richard Warrington, the winner of race 1, starts in 10th. Michael Gray was running around in 2nd place in that first race, but he will start in 11th due to a crash. Josh Thompson, with that big crash at 1:30 after leading the first few laps, starts in 12th. And Kip Stevens back for this round, gonna pretty much out of the championship. Unfortunately, he'd need to win, and everyone else, I think, in the world to crash. But he starts in P13. We'll try to pick up as many positions as possible as we start this formation lap, or not formation lap, but formation sector. And it'll be Scott Malcolm leading them away. Like I said, the top 4, don't expect them to pull out into the lead. It's going to be a fascinating race, this one. Quite a divide in pace. And Scott Malcolm coming round a little bit spread out still. Max Verstappen just closes in now, but he's leaving quite a bit of leeway David Ayres needs to try to hang on to that second place, but can Wright gain that second place maybe? It's turn 1. Malcolm holds on. Now he's on the throttle, but it's not a brilliant launch. David Ayres is right on him, going down into turn 1. And it's side by side here. But holding off the inside is Scott Malcolm. He holds on. Max Wright still in 3rd position. Luke Clark's got past Anthony Jacobson. And Lee Deemer, I think, has just fended off a couple of drivers. And a car off. That's Luke Clark, one of the championship contenders, off. And it's another terrible first lap. Again falls to the back of the grid. So too Scott Malcolm has had an issue. And this was how it happened. So Clark side by side here. And just make a bit of contact there. And it was one of those first lap incidents, but he'll be kicking himself for that one.
Yeah, I mean, not really much he can do there. It's just lap 1 antics, really. Quite often something happens on lap 1. Obviously, all the cars so close together, but he's managed to catch up to the back of the pack. That shows how much that the field's being backed up, because the difference in speed between some of the drivers. But Teo has made a good start. Josh Thompson, he's up from P12 to P8 already. And he's right down the rear of the number 65 of Lane O'Connor for P7.
Yeah, he's been awesome so far, and Cullinan a little bit wide as well. He made a brilliant move around the outside at the hairpin, did Thompson. And like you said, an awesome start. One of the fastest drivers, if not the fastest driver out there. And he's making some good positions up early on, up 4 positions. Like you said, he's right on the tail of Lane O'Connor. Going to get interesting for the lead as well in any second now. And Max Wright having to defend from Jim Flanagan on wide for Ayres. That's given Malcolm a bit of breathing room. But right now into the slipstream. Can he get the move on Ayres? How much power does that Audi have? It has a lot of ballast, of course, about 30 kilograms or so. It's side by side just behind as well, between Jacobson, I think that is. No change of position here, but there might be change of position here. Thompson up 6 places now, up into P6. That's let's say a good first lap.
Yeah, apart from the Luke Clark incident, it's been pretty clean overall. Luke Clark just managing to get past Anthony Jacobson, and Josh Thompson's now up into P6. So he's had a pretty good start. He's ahead of the race 1 winner, Richard Warmington, who's stuck in P9 behind Ralph Cullen. So Josh has a very high chance of getting a podium this time round. We're only on lap 2 and he's pretty much gained half the field so far.
Well, I think right now, I don't know about you, I think I'm probably tipping him for the win, because you look at all these drivers ahead of him and he's a good second, if not 2 seconds a lap faster than all these drivers. And that BMW, not necessarily the fastest car down the straight, but you can see it's quite a bit smaller than the Mercedes, but he is absolutely like a tiny little rocket right now. And down the inside he goes, past Lee Deemer. That's as simple as you get. So much better on the brakes as Thompson, and you know what, I think it's only a matter of time until he finds himself in the lead, as long as he's not over aggressive like he was earlier on and gets involved in a collision.
Yeah, Josh doesn't really want to get on those curbs. He's going to be worried about those. He's going to know about those. Now, if he gets on the curbs through 130R, he'll send his car flying into the barrier, and he doesn't want to have that happen to him again. The heartbreak of race 1, which obviously caused the DNF for him, which was really unfortunate. And he just looked to be dominating that race, and is he going to make the double overtake?
Straight through the middle. He's sure he hasn't got the straight line speed. Down the inside goes Flanagan, and he's going to go around the outside. It's happened again. Thompson round, and all his work is undone. Oh my goodness. And that was just maybe a little bit too over aggressive. Did he have to go for the move that early on Jim Flanagan? Flanagan held strong. He has now gone up into P2 is Flanagan. Ayres lost a couple of positions, I think, on that lap. But commiserate for Thompson once again.
Yeah, maybe just a slight bit optimistic from Josh there. you know, it's early on in the race and felt like he had the speed and wanted to get past them, which is understandable, but it's just one of those racing incidents, which is a shame for Josh. But he's got some work to
Cullinan's
do.
in deep, sorry. I thought Cullinan was going to smash into back, and now side by side just behind. That's Warmingham and Gray. Warmingham not having the best time out of it, although yeah, he nearly made the move on Cullinan. Still only up 2 positions, so from his starting position, the race 1 winner, just not being as not quite slicing through the field as Thompson was. Oh, and down the inside goes Dima, contact. Air's just holding them up so much. It's like a moving chicane out there, just stopping them on the apex. And it's side by side, is that Warmingham again and Gray, and Clark gets involved. Absolute insanity going into 130 yard. Oh, Warmingham trying to hang on. And off the circuit he goes. And now down the inside goes Cullinan, there's no room there. Are they going to surge into the back of them? No, they're not. Oh my goodness, Gray pushes up Warmingham. Warmingham wants to have a bit of it still off the circuit. And now these two are side by side. And Clark is going to try to get involved. Clark goes down the middle of the 2 of them. And can he get the 2 of them? It didn't work out well last lap. The last time this was tried. And he's wide, is Clark. He might still have a chance at Warmingham. But he only gets the 1. He'll take that. But that was, considering he's fighting for the championship, going 3 wide into turn 1. I don't think he cares really, does he, Joe?
No, but yeah, thank God he didn't have an incident there, because that would have been a nightmare. But going back to Josh Thompson, Josh is caught back up to the back of the number 90 Mercedes of Anthony Jacobson for P11. So Josh has definitely got the pace. We're only on lap 4, and hopefully he can make a few moves, have some battles, and gain back the positions he lost. Also pointing out that Kip Stevens is in the pits. Didn't race in race 1, but he's been in there for 2.5 minutes and his car looks pretty destroyed. So I'm guessing it's going to be race over for Kip there.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him. I think it was on the first lap. I can't just assume that he didn't take the start, but yeah, here it was. So this, if his championship wasn't over beforehand, this was where it well and truly ended. Smash into the wall. And yeah, that's his race over. It's still super close between Dima here, and now side by side is and he's going to be under pressure from O'Connor. O'Connor trying to get the move, but you kind of need fully alongside. I think O'Connor's got it though, but Dima hanging around the outside. Sure, use the extra track, and he holds onto that position. Now Cullinan down the inside, and he's going to get him, and Warmingham might even go through as well, and Cullinan loses out. O'Connor has lost out majorly there, down to P8, I think. I didn't quite understand what happened there, but I think Warmingham gained a position there, and side by side now, just ahead. Ayres under pressure from down the inside goes Dima, and he's got him. And now Warmingham can try to go down the inside, and contact between the 2 of them. Ayres goes wide, and Cullinan can now get through, and he just about holds on, still side by side behind. It's Thompson getting past Gray. Oh, well.
Sound a bit out of breath, Sam.
Yeah, this one wasn't fully exciting, let's say. This is making up for it.
Yeah, I think the reverse grid has really sort of spiced up the action, which is what we've needed. David Ayres has sort of held up some of the pack, with no disrespect, and well, in theory, that's pretty much provided us with some great racing, as Josh Thompson's just made a fantastic move round the outside of Dexter.
Contact Ayres into the wall.
It's going to be music to Josh Thompson's ears. Up into P8 now, just 2 positions off where he was before he spun. So Josh Thompson fighting his way back through this field. Lane O'Connor is the next driver up in the Mercedes, and his fellow BMW man, Ralph Cullinan. And that's Mercedes off. This is all playing into Josh's hands. P7 now. So that was...
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
More contact behind. Oh my goodness. So Cullinan's up into 5th. Thompson's benefited from that, like he said. O'Connor, it's still all going on here. O'Connor hanging on. O'Connor was the one who hit airs at the hairpin, and now, oh, it could go 3 wide even. And a bit of an issue actually for O'Connor. He's got a lot of damage, I think. Still hanging on is Anthony Jacobson against Luke Clark. Malcolm's had, has Malcolm had another issue? Malcolm's just dropping down the field. Oh, I think he got a toe, didn't he? No, so Malcolm's still in the lead. Sorry about that. Just on the timing screen, he was just dropping down there, but he's hanging on okay at the moment. But Gray's just got past Jacobson now. That's what we were just watching beforehand. And yeah, for one more lap, I guess it's maybe just start to calm down. I seriously doubt it though.
Hopefully, we can have a bit of a rest in the commentary box, but I think we had a pretty good rest in race 1, to be honest with you. And the racing's been fantastic in the second race. If you ask me, some of these guys have really been going at it. I do love a bit of reverse grid racing. Josh is looking for a move on Rav Cullinan.
Oh, just round the outside.
Going to go round the outside of the
It's just easy for him, isn't it? It's just, oh, there you go, round the outside, easy. Like, I must say that move that he made at the Degners earlier on is one of the best moves I think I've ever seen. Yeah, you don't really do that usually, but Josh Thompson is just siding his way through. I hate to say it, he could kind of win this race.
Yeah, that's
starting from the back and crashing. He could actually. He's P6 at the moment. He is less than 7 seconds off the lead. He can undoubtedly do this, but he needs to make sure he doesn't get involved in any collisions. Let's go Warmingham. I don't really know. Each of these drivers has been involved in at least 2 crashes, I think, and Warmingham is up into P4. So probably one of the cleaner cars out there, but he's doing a good job. I haven't actually talked about Scott Malcolm and Max Wright. That's been a decent battle because they're really close to one another, but there's just been so much action elsewhere. And Warmingham and here's Warmingham having to defend from Dima. Dima looks to the outside, he can't make that one, and now it'll be Thompson, the next driver to get past Dima, and that's going to be pretty simple, I think, for Josh.
Well, if he's been doing what he's done so far, we used to see back in the day Kamui Kobayashi making some optimistic moves and making him stick around this track, and today it's Josh Thompson around Degner 2 and the outside of the hairpin. So the outside line for Josh seems to be working magic. The racing.
Oh, don't go for it again, mate. Do not go for it again. Oh, he's going to try it. Josh Thompson down the inside of Dima. Dima's a championship contender, remember? And maybe Thompson just thought slightly better about it.
Yeah. Optimistic from Josh. I mean, he hasn't really got much to lose, but he's going to want to get the best position he can after the disappointment of race 1 and the spin he had. Imagine where he would be, Sam, if he didn't have that spin. But he's P6 and just 3 seconds off the lead. That amazes me. We're, what, 7 laps into this race? It's like we're watching a World Championship race here. The skill gap is so close at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. The top 11 separated by 10 seconds. And yeah, absolutely incredible driving out there from the drivers. A little bit of a slow car on the inside. I think that's
Stevens.
Kip Stevens, yeah. And Thompson looking to the inside now. Dima can't afford to fight this one because he cannot afford to get involved in a collision. Not lead, still the championship leader, I think, and round the outside goes Thompson.
Don't go around the outside. He's done it again.
Easy. He'll be vulnerable though down here because the BMW is slow down the straights, but I think he's so confident into turn 1, and you know what, he's got an awesome launch from that one. And only 4 to go, and from starting in P12 and spinning about a third the way into this race and falling to the back of the grid, he is that win is in sight.
It is P5 now. He's got the race 1 winner, Richard Warmingham, in front of him, and Jim Flanagan, Max Wright and Scott Malcolm ahead of those, and they are very close.
Oh, crash. Oh, I just looked away and...
Oh, that's P2. Is that P2 or is that P3?
That was P2 and P3. So Thompson's now to P3. I just looked away, but I saw the aftermath of it. and Warmingham's now up into P2. So let's see this one. So, so he just, I think it might be a racing incident. Max seemed to turn in quite sharply, but he could argue that maybe the other car of Flanagan didn't have the line. Flanagan, remember, a championship contender, and that might be a podium potentially thrown away. But Thompson's only got 2 more to go. He's only 2 seconds behind Malcolm. As long as he gets past Warmingham nice and quickly, this should be, I dare to say it, easy.
Yeah, I don't want to say it, but Josh has pretty much proved he can do anything so far this race. Without any disrespect to the competition, he's definitely been my driver of the race. He was at the back of the field after that spin on lap 2, lap 3, and he is pretty much within touch and distance of the race leader now. He's right in the back of Richard Wilmingham. The problem is that BMW does lack on the straight, but where it lacks on the straight, it makes up in the corners, as Josh Thompson's proven, making various moves through various corners around the outside. He's not going to go around the outside into turn 1, don't be silly. But I mean, we said that, but he's made a move around the outside of Degner, he's made a move around the outside of the hairpin and the final chicane. So Josh seems to be able to do anything this race.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe has a look coming out of this next one, going into, is it Dunlop, this one? Not quite sure, but yeah, not quite looking for the move there, but this way he's made moves before. Degner, he had a look a couple of laps ago. Warmingham, remember, doesn't have anything to fear. He's hasn't got anything to lose. He's not in the championship hunt, and wide goes Warmingham. Can he get back on the circuit? He did well, did Warmingham. That can so easily just put you off into the barrier. Now, is Cullinan close enough? Thompson close enough. Here he goes,
he's going to go for it.
And it's a Kamui Kobayashi move, as you were mentioning earlier. And he's through up into 2nd position. 1 more to go, and he's got a couple of laps to get it done.
Fantastic move there from Josh once again. And now the only man stopping him from winning this race is Scott Malcolm, the current race leader. BMW versus Mercedes. Who's going to take the win in this one? Wouldn't count out Richard Warmingham either if these two have a bit of an incident. Who knows? We've seen various incidents today.
And through goes Thompson.
No, he's not going to do it.
Oh my goodness. He's surely going to have it. There he goes. And just needs to make sure that he sticks it. Josh Thompson from 12th on the grid, and here comes Warmingham down the inside. So Warmingham wants to have a piece of this. Malcolm, who's led the race throughout, holds on to 2nd place for now. Warmingham will come back again. He's only got he's got Diemer and Cullinan just behind as well. But incredible from Josh, yeah.
He cannot muck this race up now. He's done so well.
He's done everything else.
I mean, he was very optimistic into that move, which sent him into a spin. And ever since that, he put his head down and he's passed everyone he has needed to. He's the current leader after starting P12, spinning on lap 2, going to the back of the field, apart from Kip Stevens, who a bit of an incident which we didn't quite catch, but other than that, he went back to P12 when he was in P6 and has got all the way up into P1. So absolutely amazing drive from Josh here in race 2.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. And we've still got plenty more battles to go, of course. And he's already 2 seconds out in the lead. He's so much faster than the other drivers out here. Here is Michael Gray on the tail of Luke Clark. Clark needs these championship points, obviously. And he is currently actually the lowest down of the championship runners. It's Diemer, Cullinan and Flanagan, 4th, 5th and 6th, all in the championship hunt. And then it's Clark in P8. So he's going to lose quite a few points if it ends like this. Here's Warmingham off the circuit pretty much. Malcolm has been struggling down this straight. He is defending this time, and Warmingham's going to have to go to the outside. No, he can go to the inside. Did Malcolm maybe interpret that wrong? Because Warmingham's through. And Malcolm, can he come back? He's got to be careful from Diemer now just behind. And nicely stopped. There he goes a little bit wide. Dima's going to have a nice run here. Warmingham is through. Next up is Dima, and of course Cullinan's only just behind as well. And as Dima got the straight line speed, still trying to stick in the slipstream is Malcolm, but yeah, he's hung on at the moment. That little slipstream from Warmingham has helped him. Down the inside goes Dima though, but he can't quite make the move stake.
Final lap though, we've had the white flag out. So Josh Thompson's just pulled away from this field.
Oh, Clark's in the wall.
Ah, that is a shame for Luke Clark. It's just not been Luke's day. He had that incident in race 1, and now race 2 just hasn't gone so well for him. A lot of damage to that car by the looks of it. I think he's going to carry on to the end of the lap, but a shame. And oh, he's spun. But yeah, that's a shame for Luke there.
He qualified the highest up of the championship contenders, and he's actually finished both races last of the championship contenders. So not a good day whatsoever, as you said. Dima's still looking for the move down the inside into the hairpin. Nicely covered off from Malcolm. Just went to the middle of the circuit, didn't really give Dima too much of an opportunity, but now into the slipstream. Spoon has been an overtaking spot for some drivers, in particular Josh Thompson. But maybe Dima can get the move done here. You can get a bit of a slipstream, looks to the inside. He's running out of corners to get it done. And still Cullinan just sitting in behind. I think he's pretty happy with that P5. But he's another driver running out of corners to mess this one up is Josh Thompson. He's only got 130R and the Casio Triangle to go. And this would be one of the most incredible race victories I think any of you would have ever seen. He started 12th, he crashed on lap 3, and he's still going to win by 6 seconds. Josh Thompson wins the second race here at Suzuka, and does a whole lot more than that. And oh, more contact. So Wright's got the move. Malcolm managed to hang on, by the way, to P3. Wright's some way or another got past Gray. And yeah, Max Wright beats Gray, and Jacobson and Ayres will finish in just behind. Yeah, Joe, that was I must say that's one of the best races I think I've ever witnessed. Certainly ever had the pleasure to commentate on.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I've no words. I'm lost for words after that performance by Josh. It looked pretty much race over at the start, didn't it? But he proved us all wrong, managed to win it. Race 2 did all he needed to do, and now race 3 is next, I believe.
Yeah, of course, he will start on pole once again. I don't think Colin Koval is going to start on pole in every race. Yeah, brilliant drive. Lap 4, was it?
Lap 4 that Josh had his moment. I thought it was lap 2, but it's lap 4. So what, 7 laps? He gained 12 positions. Not bad for a nice Sunday drive.
Yeah, certainly. And now again go through the finishers, and it's Josh Thompson. We've already said all that can be said, but I think there's plenty more which he deserves. Hopefully we'll get an interview with him later on after race 3. But he will start from pole position for race 3. And Richard Warmingham, a first and a second. Nice drive through the field from Richard. It wasn't quite like Josh's drive through the field. A little bit more measured and just picked up on the positions one by one. Really good job from him. Scott Malcolm actually led the first 8 laps of this event before losing out to Josh Thompson. Did well to hang on to P3 over Ralph Cullinan, who actually managed to get past Jim Flanagan with a couple of corners to go. Didn't quite see that one, but I was saying how Cullinan was happy with the P5, but he actually finishes top once again of the championship runners. So Cullinan may well be leading the championship at this point. Jim Flanagan, another championship contender, in 5th. So to lead Dima in 6th. Max Wright finishes in 7th from 3rd on the grid. Michael Gray, another disappointing race for him, considering how he's been so fast today. I think he was involved in a bit of a collision with another driver. He finishes in 8th. And it's Anthony Jacobson, picked up other drivers' mistakes in 9th. David Ayres in 10th. He was involved in a couple of incidents after running high early on when starting in 2nd place. Luke Clark, not the race he wanted, championship runner, and his championship has taken a major dent with these first 2 races. He's going to need a terrific race P3 to salvage any hope going into the final round next week. Lane O'Connor, potential for him, but in the end he was involved in a couple of collisions. He ends up in P13, P12, sorry, and Kip Stevens crashed only a few corners into the event. And yeah, Joe, that was some race, and I think for race 3 it's going to be another awesome event with Thompson starting on pole, but also the championship is just keeps on brewing out there.
Yep, getting very, very spicy championship fight. That's what we all enjoy. I think if considering Josh has just told me he had damage from that incident, and he went purple on the last lap, so if he can do that without damage, I think he might run away with this one. But it's very, very tight in the midfield with the other drivers. So who knows what could happen. We've had everything in the past couple of races, and we've just got race 3 to go now.
Yeah, and we'll see then, of course, the finishing results of this race deciding the gridding position for the final race of the evening. And we will see you in about 20 minutes' time for the final race of the evening. Certainly don't miss it.
Some things
When I sat in the car, you always wonder, what's it going to feel like? You know, it was my first time driving a mid-engine GT car. You know, my thoughts were, wow, this is really good for a first time in a car. I was really surprised by it. You're sitting low, you got the A-pillars at steep angles, the windshields at steep angles, you can see the fender flares. I think we have a chance to win. Everything's got to go right, but I think we have a car that can win the race or be on the podium. But can you imagine how cool that would be to go back 50 years later to the year and do it?
Welcome back for the final race of the evening here in the BSR Grand Tour. I'm back, Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside Joseph Ringrose and Paul Smith on the cameras, and we just witnessed one of the best drives I think I've ever seen from Josh Thompson, scything his way through the field twice. Had to pass the entire field, and he will be starting on pole in this one. And yeah, like I said, Joe, that was quite an incredible second race, not just from him, but it was chaos all down the field.
Yeah, I mean, in race 1, I was pretty disappointed about there wasn't really much action, but I think the reverse grid really did help in race 2. And Josh showing he pretty much dominated that race from there on in. And well, in the other race later, yeah, my bad. The midfield battles were insane as well. So if we can see more of the same again, I'll be pretty pleased overall with the 3 races.
Yeah, definitely. And Josh Thompson, like I said, starting on pole position for this one. Richard Warmingham, a first and a second for him today. He starts on the front row. Scott Malcolm starts in third. A really good drive from him in race 2, starting on pole. Hung on to the lead for about 8 laps before eventually being overcome by the two drivers on the front row. Then it's Ralph Cullinan, the first of the championship contenders. He could well be leading the championship actually at this point. Jim Flanagan, another championship contender, in 5th. Lee Deemer, same, in 6th. Max Wright in 7th. Michael Gray, he's fast, should have got a second in the first race, but only starts in 8th after a crash in the first race and a not so good second race. And it's Anthony Jacobson starting in 9th, followed by David Ayres. Luke Clark has had an awful day so far. He is another championship challenger, but he only starts in 11th. Really needs to salvage some points. Lane O'Connor should be quick from 12th, and Kip Stevens rounds out the field after crashing just a few corners into race 2 and not taking part in race 1. Josh Thompson in the first race got an awesome launch. He waited for a while before the green flag went, and I wonder if he'll do the same here. Richard Warmingham was also on the front row in race 1. And we'll see. Thompson has got quite a big gap already. Warmingham's starting to close in, and I think they are now.
Yeah, he's gone now.
Down on the throttle, and there goes Thompson. Warmingham should be able to hold on. Malcolm trying to has already lost a position, so to Cullinan, who's got an awesome start. Malcolm really struggling off the line. So to Jim Flanagan. So I think an entire row seemed to get off to a bit of a poor start. A little bit of smoke, I think, in the background, but again, another clean start and another perfect launch for Thompson.
Yep, he's just got to maintain what he did in that second half of race 2, keep it on track, and with the pace he's shown so far today, I mean, he should just run away with this. But again, we can't say he's going to run away with it because we all know what happened in race 1. So just keep it on the track, Josh.
Yeah, definitely. In that race 1, he went wide at 130R and smashed into the wall. Let's see if Michael Gray can maybe go for a move here. He's deep. Oh, that was close. Nearly ran into the back of Scott Malcolm, and just behind Lee Deemer, getting a little bit out of shape as well. Jim Flanagan has lost 2 positions off the line. So too has Max Wright. He's dropped 1. And then Luke Clark managed to get a move on David Ayres. And like I said right from the start, Ralph Cullinan got ahead of Scott Malcolm, and a spinner just ahead. I can hear it at least. Not sure who it is. There's Cullinan. Oh dear, the championship contender. I think the championship leader as well, and he's off the circuit. And also off the circuit is Richard Warmingham. So they were running P2 and P3, and Warmingham's faultless day so far has abruptly come to an end. And there he was, Warmingham, and it was 2 separate incidents seemingly. Warmingham lost it, and then Cullinan lost it.
Yeah, maybe just got put off by the fact that Warmingham went off and just sort of lost focus, lost a bit of concentration. But Josh has nearly got a 4-second lead.
Yeah, he's so much faster than everyone else out there. And here's Jim Flanagan having to defend from Max Wright. Max Wright having a good run out there, and he can't quite make that move. Lee Deemer now up 2 positions. Flanagan back where he started after a little bit of a poor start, and that's a move there. David Ayres losing out to Lane O'Connor. And Thompson's dropped down again. No, he hasn't. Sorry, my time on screen said that he was, but he's absolutely fine. I'm half expecting him to make this one difficult for himself because that's how today's gone. Michael Gray up 6 positions so far, by the way, up into P2.
Yeah, he's had a pretty good start actually. Looking at it, just seemed to get away out of the incidents. I mean, he's had 2 free positions from Cullen and Birmingham, and the other 4 have just, I guess, been moves. We know Michael Gray's got the pace. He was in the podium positions after having a good qualifying in race 1 and was on the podium until he spun. But yeah, it's done a pretty good job so far.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, running strongly in P2, and I think with Scott, Malcolm, Lee Deemer, Jim Flanagan, Max Wright, I look at all those drivers. I think he's quite a lot faster than all those drivers. And that's great. Oh, he's had a so great. I think that's quite a big commentator's curse because he's just dropped it at Spoon, and he lost it early on in the second part of it, and hit a bump as well. That's going to cause a little bit of damage to that Mercedes. But he's going to have to do it all over again now. Back to where he started.
Yeah, that's a shame. But meanwhile, Thompson continues to gain 6.7 seconds in 2 laps. And Josh had a bit of a moment into turn 1 there. Lost the back end, but I mean, he hasn't really lost much time considering he's lost a couple of seconds, but I mean, he's going to gain that back if it continues at this current rate.
Yeah, no doubt. Still 4 seconds clear. It's Deemer close on Malcolm. Deemer hasn't been super quick today, but give full credit to him. He's got the most out of his pace in terms of results, and he could well be in for a P2 here, which, like I keep on saying, would really help his championship bid. Jim Flanagan, championship rival, only just behind him, so he needs that podium. He's up 3 positions from where he started, but Malcolm has really impressed me actually. That race 2, he was super impressive, holding on to the lead for so long. And right now, he's hanging on quite comfortably ahead of Deemer.
Yep, comfortable indeed. Gap's only 3 tenths, but he's managing to keep himself ahead for the time being. But a couple of drivers just waiting in the wings. I mean, there's down to
and he hits him. And round it goes. That's disappointing for Malcolm.
Damn, that's a shame.
Commentator's curse or not, but he's round, and that's going right to the back of the field down in P13, aka last. And that was very that was a bit naughty there from Deemer. I'm sure it wasn't deliberate. Flanagan gained 2 positions from that, so he's up into P2 now. Deemer down into stays in P3, but I really feel sorry there for Scott Malcolm.
Yeah, I mean, he was just a passenger and that, wasn't he? Just received a tap from Deemer and round he went. I mean, Deemer had to avoid Malcolm, so Flanagan obviously gained a position on Deemer and Malcolm, so as you mentioned, now P2, starting P5. But yeah, what are you going to say?
Sorry, Clark just got the move on Jacobson. Jacobson's wide again, and he's got hit. He nearly spun, and Jacobson's lost 3 positions in about 2 corners. Kip Stevens has dropped out, I think.
Kip Stevens and Scott Malcolm have just collided.
Big damage for Malcolm as well.
Yeah. Looked like Stevens was just sort of rejoining the track, and they've done it again.
I haven't quite seen it. What went on?
Well, first time around, Kip Stevens was just rejoining the track and joined straight into Scott Malcolm, and then Scott Malcolm went to rejoin the track and went straight into Kip Stevens. So a bit of vice versa roles there for the pair of them, but they've both taken a tow and head down the pit lane.
Yeah, and Ralph Cullinan involved in that one as well. Down into P11 now. And absolutely chaos down in that P and down that turn 2. Demas close on Flanagan. These two have been glued to one another throughout this event. Race 2, they were fighting one another quite hard, and race 1, I think, as well, they were nose to tail, and that remains the case. Max Wright only just behind them, actually having a really good run in his Audi, but it's quite secure. It's Flanagan, Dima, Wright, Clark, Gray, and O'Connor all in a queue.
Yeah, it's just
and down the inside.
train. Who was that? Was that Luke Clark going for a move?
Yeah, trying to go for a move, but he's too far back. Back now, I think, going into turn 1.
Yeah, Max is the one Audi runner. Obviously, a very Mercedes-dominated field today, with Josh and Ralph Cullen in the BMW Z4s respectively.
Yeah, I think Max has actually had a couple of good rounds. Last time at Silverstone, he was really strong, and today actually been very good at just keeping himself out of trouble, and seemingly going to get, I think, 3 top 8s. I think if it ended right now, that 4th position for him would be one of his best of the season. But he's really under pressure from Luke Clark. He has not had it all his own way. Is up 6 positions in this race, but after all the collisions that Clark has been in, I wonder if he's a little bit more cautious than in the first 2 races.
Yeah, it doesn't want another incident to hurt his championship hopes anymore. I mean, he's not really going to have a good round here after the first couple of races, but it's going to be damage limitation in this race, and doesn't want to cause any other incidents or lose it again.
Still really close between the top 2, between Flanagan and Dima. So not close at all between the top 2. 11.5 seconds between Thompson and Flanagan, but it's much closer between Flanagan and Dima, because Dima's right on the tail. Can he get a better run through 130R? Not really. It's really difficult to follow through 130R, I feel, isn't it? Like, to get that run into the Cassier triangle, you've got to absolutely nail the 130R, and if you're following, it's really difficult to kind of spot your turn-in point, spot your braking zone, and kind of carry just enough speed through.
Yeah, just gotta make that work and make sure you don't rack up the chicane. It looked like Luke Clark was going to make a move on Max Wright into turn 1 there, but decided better off and not to make that move.
Dima just made a bit of a small mistake there, and nearly lost out to, or certainly has closed the gap back to Max Wright. And all of a sudden, actually, Luke Clark a little bit under pressure from Michael Gray just behind, who really should has kind of thrown away 2 second places already today. But with the pit stop in this event, he could certainly find himself on the podium come the end of this one, because he's only 2 seconds off 2nd place currently. But yeah, he's right on the tail. Can he maybe have a look at Clark into the hairpin? This would be super brave, but it's not really much of an overtaking spot unless you are Josh Thompson, and still just staying behind.
Yeah, as we saw in race 2.
Jacobson's had an issue, spun out of the hairpin. I think maybe it was the same issue with the traction. And yeah, let's just see the replay of it. And yeah, turning in pretty normally. I think it might be the traction yet. Once again, we've seen that a couple of times, haven't we? And it seems to be quite an easy mistake in these cars, despite them having traction control. That hairpin is just so slow, it can be very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, you can't always completely rely on traction control. You know, you might still have to feather the throttle slightly. With these cars, you can't just expect.
And contacts between Clark and Wright, and more contacts as well. Clark just got hit by Gray. Wright drops down to P7. Clark goes up into P4. We're seeing a replay of it now. Clark was so wide, and I was thinking, is he going to be able to get slowed down? And it wasn't an overtaking move, and it wasn't malicious either. He just completely misjudged that one. I don't know if you saw that one, Jay, but one of them which can happen. And Max Wright, another really unfortunate driver. Oh, and down the inside goes Gray now. And Clark's wide again. He's on the gravel, and he just goes straight across. He's going to have a big slowdown now. He's surely going to have to let past Lane O'Connor just behind. Clark, I think, getting really frustrated out there with the and O'Connor, as Clark is serving his slow down, and he goes to the inside. O'Connor nearly went into the back of him again, but that's not what Clark needed. Remember, a championship contender, and everything is going wrong for him today.
Yeah, he just went to take a slowdown, but I don't think that Lane O'Connor realised and nearly went straight into the back of him. Where his championship rivals at the moment, Lee Deemer's currently P3, Flanagan P2, and where is Cullen? Cullen's down in P11, so it's going to be difficult to salvage anything from this race, from these 3 races for Luke Clark. Even if he has a really good one here to now, I think it's just going to be one of those things.
Yeah, it must be really frustrating for him, because went into this round with a real good chance at the championship, but just has everything's just gone wrong for him today, seemingly. And yeah, he's not going to really turn out to go as well as he wanted. Richard Warmium still right on the tail of Max Wright. Warmium looks to the outside a little bit. Clark went into this round actually second in the championship, with Deemer in the lead, Flanagan third. I think Cullinan is currently in the lead of the championship after the first 2 races, and Deemer's into the pits, so that's a little bit earlier than we perhaps expected. But was he ahead of Flanagan or just behind? I'm not quite sure, but maybe that's a strategic choice.
Yep, definitely seems to be. Get a bit of an undercut on the guys in front. Ralph Cullen also comes in. What's the stop time going to be for Lee Deemer? 9.0, so 9-second pit stop. What's his pit lane time going to be? 34.6. So we'll keep an eye on the other drivers to see what their pit lane times are like in comparison. So Ralph Cullen had a slightly quicker pit stop, but down lane was a couple of seconds slower, so it'll be interesting to see what the guys up front maybe not have put as much fuel in. The car, Sam, maybe?
Yeah, perhaps. Very possibly. I think Cullinan pitted in so early just because he had a bit of damage, and I think you get a fast repair. We'll just check now. Yeah, they get 1 fast repair, so a brand new car, and Cullinan kind of needed that because he had so much damage on the car. I think he wasn't really going anywhere. Now, will these drivers respond? Will Flanagan respond? Will Gray, O'Connor, Clark, Wright, and Warmingham respond? Because they were fighting those 2 drivers, you know, that train of kind of 7 cars, and may well be worth them ducking into pits now to try to protect their track position.
Yeah, might just be worth doing it to cover off. Ooh, bit of a moment from Max Wright there. I just saw on my screen coming out 130R, but doesn't seem like anyone else has come in. Keep you updated, Sam.
Yeah, Warmingham's into the pits now, so the last one in that chain. And yeah, I think he'll be behind. He's almost certainly going to be behind Deemer. Don't think that's going to be a battle, but should be out in some clean air. Could maybe undercut a few of the drivers ahead, because we know how quick Richard Warmingham is with that first and second in those first 2 races. Still, Flanagan only just ahead of Gray, so Flanagan, Gray of course should be in second place, although I keep on banging on, because he threw away a second place in the first race. He's already thrown away a second place in this race, and it seems like finally he's going to be able to pick it up once again.
Yeah, Richard Warmingham had a 12.4, which was 3.5 seconds slower than Lee Deemer, so maybe a bit of damage to his car, or just slow out the box. That could be a possibility, but he's out ahead of Rav Cullen as expected in P10, so interesting to see where the other guys come out in relation.
Yeah, definitely, and of course just watching Thompson now completely by himself, 21 seconds clear now of the rest of the field. That could really, we're only halfway through, if we're not even halfway through yet. pretty much are, but could well open up to about 45 seconds by the end of this one. Absolutely crushing the field, to say the least. Max Wright looking maybe for a move on Luke Clark now. Clark's just not having his own way today. Max Wright a little bit wide. Will any of these drivers pit, I wonder? Will Flanagan pit? Will Gray pit? O'Connor's up into 4th now, just benefiting from others' issues. But seemingly everyone's staying out.
Yeah.
So they don't feel the need to cover off their Warmingham and Dima.
Yeah, I know what I'd do in this situation. Sam, would you make an early stop, or would you try and stretch out your stint?
If I was at the front of this queue, I would probably stretch it out, and depending on my pace. But if I was quite slow and maybe in the middle of this queue, I'd just pit now, get track position, and then maybe get a little bit of clean air as well. But yeah, they're feeling as though they need to stay out. Like if I was Flanagan here, I'd stay out. But if I was Gray, you know, come in, get the undercut maybe, because it's, as we've seen so far, it's not the easiest circuit to overtake this.
Yeah, unless your name's Josh Thompson, of course. Yeah, but I think you may be able to take less fuel. It just sort of depends. Some of these guys might have started with different fuel loads at the start.
Oh, so
No, that's fine, but yeah, might have started with different fuel loads and whatnot start, so it could just be their general strategy of the race. And Ashley Jacobson has also pitted, come out in P11.
Well, just comparing the times of Warmingham. Well, Warmingham hasn't put in a proper time yet, but Dima has. He did a 57.96, and actually Flanagan did a 57.75. So at the moment they've got the pace advantage. That could well be due to the fact that they've got a little bit less fuel, although not a whole lot less. So if Dima's going to make this one work, he's got to put in some good times. Otherwise, he may lose out from this. Now, will Flanagan and Gray come into the pits? Surely Gray's just got to do the opposite of Flanagan, because he's clearly got more pace, and into the pits comes Flanagan there and stays out as Gray. So I think that was a wise move from Gray. Now he needs to awesome in lap. O'Connor's into the pits as well. Luke Clark stays out. Max Wright stays out as well. So it's Flanagan and O'Connor in. Now this is going to be really close between Flanagan and Dima.
Yeah, Michael Gray's going to have to absolutely gun it, hammer time as they say. Put in the fastest lap he can possibly do. He's got clean air, and I'm pretty sure he'll be pitting this lap. So hopefully they come out together and we can have a bit of a battle.
Yeah, hopefully so. And here comes Flanagan coming out of the pits, and Dima's ahead. So Dima's ahead, and he's still ahead of Warmingham though. So O'Connor has lost out to Warmingham. So before the pit stops, O'Connor was ahead, and he's lost out to Warmingham, which is an indication perhaps that Warmingham... Oh, and Clark's into the wall again. I feel sorry for him, because this is just a rubbish day.
Yeah, it's just... Every driver has that day where it's just nothing goes right for him, and unfortunately that day is today for Luke Clark. You know, every driver's human and they make mistakes. And that's just unfortunate for Luke, and he's made one too many here today. I mean, he's managed to keep going, but hopefully he can keep going till the end of this race. He will have a fast repair, so hopefully we can see him back out on track as he continues on. So I'll pretty sure we will expect him in this lap, Sam.
Yeah, you would certainly think so. And he's actually going to lose out to Ralph Cullinan then. So Clark, in the first 2 races, was the bottom of the Showdown drivers. And it seems in this 3rd race it's going to be the same thing. It's just been so unfortunate. I remind you, in qualifying, he was the top of the championship runners. So quite incredible how every race has just gone rubbish for him. And Max Wright is now into the pits. So to David Ayres. Gray stays out once again.
Clark's
is out in the lead still, and Clark's in. So yeah, this will be interesting. So really, we've got to watch out for Max Wright versus Warmingham and O'Connor. That could be close.
Yeah, I've been close where he slots in. Interesting point. Well, I've been sort of keeping an eye on Josh Thompson's times, and well, his last lap was a 56.1, and Michael Gray's fastest lap was a 57.1. So pretty dominant drive so far from Josh here.
Oh, Max White's just behind O'Connor. And Clark has dropped behind Jacobson. So Clark's come out in 11th. So really the best he can get is maybe P9 behind Cullinan. Beyond that's going to be difficult. So in that pit stop, in that pit stop sequence, then haven't been really many major winners. Worthington managed to gain 1 position, I believe, maybe 2, I think, maybe Max Wright as well. But that's about it. Flanagan lost out potentially, and Gray is the last one who still needs to pit.
Josh Thompson also hasn't come in, but I mean,
yeah.
Josh, I mean, we don't really need to worry about Josh, to be honest. He's
oh, we do.
26 seconds in front. I mean, he won't be affecting battle. It'll be interesting to see where Michael Gray comes out. 34.9 and Michael Gray's in. Josh Thompson stays out. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, he needs to try to stay ahead of Dima and Flanagan, but could potentially be in the middle. Looking at his times recently, Gray, he did a 57.1, so he should have enough as long as this is a quick pit stop. But Dima had a super quick pit stop earlier on, so will Gray be able to retain that second place? He's back moving again. Is he ahead of Lee Dima? At the moment he is. Here comes Dima, and Dima's passed, so Gray should hang on to P3 though. He's still ahead of Flanagan, but he's still going to have to make that move on Dima. But he has made the jump on Flanagan.
Yep, so P3 for Michael Gray, so he'll be pretty happy with that. So he just needs to keep it on the road. We're predicted to have 19 laps, we're currently on lap 13, so just sort of 6 laps to go in this race. And I mean, as seen in the first 2 races, anything can happen in 6 laps.
So really the defining factor was Dima. I'll just go through his pit stop. Overall time was a 38.73, Gray 42.07, so that's the gap, you know. And Thompson's now into the pits, and this is, he can probably take tyres actually, can't he, and still come out in the lead. I would not be surprised if he did that, to be fair, because it would give him a chance at maybe setting an even faster lap time, and he'll get stopped and can maybe have a sip of tea whilst he's doing this, because he's a good half a minute clear of the rest of the field. Revving up that engine, needs to make sure that he doesn't blow it up. Yeah, you don't really want to do that, but now he's back away, and yep, still a long, long way clear of the rest of the field.
No one to be seen. He's just running his own race, Josh here today.
Oh, and off the track goes David Ayres. Luke Clark goes through, and so too does Anthony Jacobson. So Clark had already got past Jacobson, and then Ayres, who we're just watching now, on board, and I think that might be on the brakes, you know, maybe just yeah, of course, turning whilst braking, even in a car like this with ABS, it's sometimes can be difficult. But he's now dropped back down to P11. Luke Clark back up into P9. That might be as far up as he can get, because I don't think he's going to be able to challenge Ralph Cullinan and Max Wright towards the end of this race.
Yeah, still pretty close in that midfield. To be honest with you, a couple of battles, but Ralph Cullinan and Max Wright the closest at the moment. Doesn't really seem to be any other sort of very, very close battles. But yeah, should stay pretty similar, I reckon, Sam. I don't know about you, but can't really see much more changing unless there's a spin somewhere.
But I think Max Wright and Ralph Cullinan is the one to watch at the moment. Only, of course, quarter of a second between the two of them.
Yeah.
Cullinan needs the points, obviously, as I keep on banging on about it, but it is important. It's the penultimate round of the season, and Cullinan, the championship leader, and can he get the move now on right? So he goes to the inside. He's going to have the outside for the hairpin, but he should get through. Oh, wheel to wheel, and still trying to come back is Max Wright. And you know what? He might have a chance because Cullinan goes wide, but he can have the inside here. Now can Wright get back into the slipstream? He needs to make this move back into Spoon, but Cullinan, after that fast repair at his first pit stop, pitted early. It's worked out pretty well for him, and he should be able to push to the end now. And Warmingham, has he towed back to the pits? Yes, he has. He's had a big old collision. So the driver who won the first race, the driver who finished second in the second race, and it's a big old swapper, and smashes into the barrier, and that will be his day over. It's not going to be it's not going to be 3 podiums in 3 races.
Yeah, it's a shame for Richard there. He's had a pretty clean run in the first 2 races, the majority of this race, but just wasn't meant to be.
And Thompson, just watching, did have a spin down at turn 1. Of course, he came close to spinning earlier on down there, but this time did actually come to fruition, and Thompson then loses a bit of his lead. He's 17.5 seconds ahead of Dima, so I don't think he will care one bit, will Thompson? Will just want to win this one. He should really want all 3 of these races today, but that first race, of course, got onto the AstroTurf coming out of 130R and smashed into the barrier. Max Wright trying to come back at Ralph Cullinan, but probably not going to happen. Maybe Cullinan could catch up to O'Connor. That last lap he was 3/10 faster, including an overtake. That, I must say, is the only battle that I can really see coming wheel to wheel to the end of this race, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, what we're predicted to have 19 laps, as mentioned, with now lap 15. So we've got 4 laps, 5 laps, 4.5 laps to make something happen. And for these battles to finish with Ralph Cullinan and Max Wright still battling away, Sam.
Yeah, Max Wright actually staying pretty close still. Cullinan, let's see how much time he can make up on O'Connor on this lap. Really gaining too much in the sectors, seemingly. Yeah, currently running in P6. Dima and Flanagan are relatively close. Oh, actually, no, they're not. They're 5.5 seconds between each other. Flanagan and Gray is relatively close. Oh, so Gray must have made a mistake. So Gray has made a mistake in the past few laps. I don't think we saw that one. But he was ahead of Flanagan, wasn't he? And he's actually lost out. So he's down to P4. Flanagan back up into P3.
Yeah, yeah, we didn't catch that, but unless Michael Gray's just been struggling that much compared to Jim Flanagan, he's definitely had an issue somewhere. That's allowed Jim to get through into the lead. Josh Thompson still a good 18 seconds ahead of everyone else. So this looks like an easy win for Josh now.
Yeah, it was on lap 15, that incident for Gray. Oh wow, he went off at turn 1 actually. Went off early on at turn 1 and actually got a swapper on, as we've seen a couple of times today, and overcorrected it a little bit and just made a little bit of contact with the wall, so wasn't ideal, that one. But yes, smashed it, slightly hit the wall, and that's cost him maybe a podium unless he can fight back against Flanagan, because he is closing back in now. Only 7/10 behind. And Malcolm now slow. Was that a slowdown, I wonder? So seemingly a slowdown for Malcolm. I don't really know how he picks up that one unless he just cut Spoon completely. Cullinan still cannot shake off Max Wright off. Thought he'd quite easily pull away, but he's not really making any impression on O'Connor either. And a couple of battles brewing now, mainly that Cullinan right battle, but also Flanagan coming under pressure from Gray. And I wonder if he's thinking about the championship at all here, Flanagan, because this would be a great day for him. He's got 3 good results today. If it ends like this, he cannot afford to get involved in a collision.
He'll always be in the back of Flanagan's mind that he has the risk of dropping those points if he crashes and whatnot. And with Lee Deemer ahead, I mean, he is the current championship leader going into this, but he won't want to lose as many points to still have a shot at the championship title.
Well, there was a bit of a mistake from Michael Gray in turn 1. Had to go onto the AstroTurf, and that can cost you a lot of time. So he's got 1.5 laps to make up 9/10 of a second, which I think he will do, but it's more about whether or not he can actually get the overtake done, because it's not been too easy out there today. And still Max Wright relatively close to Ralph Cullinan. We can just see Wright here just set his personal best lap time of the race, his first 57 of the race. So he's giving his all. It clearly feels as though he can challenge, but he is still 9/10 behind O'Connor, not really falling into the clutches of Cullinan. Cullinan was 3/10 faster on that last lap, but it's not nearly enough to close the 2.5 second gap that currently exists. And yeah, still 1 second between those. So I think it is going to be Flanagan v Gray here. Now into the slipstream goes Gray. Can he carry the speed through 130i? He can. He closes by a 10th or 2, I think, there. And deep on the brakes. Clearly that slightly bent rear wing isn't doing him any harm whatsoever. And not going to be able to make it into turn 1, but he's only got 1 more lap to do this now, Jay. And he's going to have to take a page out of Josh Thompson's book, I think.
Yeah. If he can do what Josh did in race 1, you know, that'll be his position, but he's going to have to prove that he's got a lap to do it.
Yeah, seemingly a lot more confident at the moment. And he's just edging closer and closer and closer. He's pretty much as close as can be. He's pretty much just got half a lap to just get the move done. No mistakes on this lap so far from him, unlike the last lap where he went slightly off the track at turn 1. He's just 3/10 behind. Jacobson and Ayres has suddenly closed in, but this is really what we want to watch. This battle for P3. Deemer is nearly 5 seconds ahead of these guys. It's going to be a really strong result for Deemer now. Is he close enough here? Flanagan feels the need to defend. Round the outside goes Gray. Should have had a podium in the first race. Could have had a podium in the second race. Can he finally get on one of those steps in this one? Even though he could have had a couple of second places today. But still, he just cannot quite make the move. I think Josh Thompson is coming down the final few corners, and here he comes to the line, absolutely faultless. We haven't paid quite so much attention to him in this race, but Josh Thompson wins his second race of the day. And jumping back now to Flanagan versus Gray. Gray isn't really close enough. He's going to try to get the run through 130i. He's good through here, is Gray, compared to Flanagan. And he is going to get a slightly better run. He's looking anywhere, but there's no way through. Flanagan's going to hold on. Deemer comes home in second. Flanagan will hold off to get third position. And got a couple more battles. Cullinan will hang on against O'Connor. And Ayres still on the tail of Jacobson. He's closed that gap in. All of a sudden, Jacobson taking the middle part of the circuit. Doesn't want to take any more risks than possible. And Ayres can't quite get the drive out. And he'll come home in 10th position in the end. And after a little bit of a dull first race, I must say, there was a few spins, but you know, it wasn't great like racing as such in that first race. Race 2 and race 3 were really good to watch in the end, Joe.
Yeah, Josh Thompson just pretty much showed out the rest of the field, and not really much more to say. Lots of battles throughout.
But yeah, Josh, I'm lost for words for those second 2 races. Didn't have the best of races in race 1. I mean, he had the pace, but had a bit of a mistake into 130R and redeemed himself.
Yeah, no doubts about that. And he's actually waiting for an interview, but we will just go through the finishing order first. And like I said, Josh Thompson wins this one from pole position, fully deserves it. And Lee Deemer finishes in 2nd place. Jim Flanagan finishes in 3rd position. Good points for him in the championship. Michael Gray, what could have been for him today? A crash in race 1, I think a spin in race 2, and a spin in race 3 as well, perhaps costing him a chance at 3 podiums. He comes away from this one with none, but still exhibited some good pace up there. Then O'Connor, better race for him from P12 on the grid, finishes 5th. Ralph Cullinan finishes in 6th. Max Weitz finishes in 7th, more good points for him. Luke Clark in 8th, and then not a good day for him. Anthony Jacobson comes home in 9th, very solid performances from him. And David Ayres 10th, and Scott Malcolm in 11th, 1 lap down. So to Kip Stevens, who was involved in an incident in race 2 and race 3. And Richard Warmium won the first race, 2nd in the 2nd race. But from 2nd on the grid in this one, early on got caught up in an incident, and he finishes in P13. And like I said, we've got Josh Thompson here with us. And Josh, first off, that 2nd race, that was insane, let's say.
Redemption for race 1?
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah, I knew I had the pace. Like, obviously, I know these guys don't have the pace compared to me, realistically, but I still wanted to just do it for a bit of fun. But no, even I was surprised to come, especially coming back. I was, I think, 11 seconds behind second to last after lap 2, after the spin turn 1, after the little collision. I was like, even I knew I couldn't really work that out, but lucky enough, plucked away, did a few moves here or there, and just lucky enough, like everything like fell in place really.
Yeah, I must say the pick of the bunch, I'd say, was round the outside at the 2 Degners. I don't know if you remember that one because there were so many others, but that was one of the best overtakes I've ever seen around this circuit, I think.
I think that one, and then I did Jacobson from like a second back into a triangle, so I was quite happy with that one as well. But I was just playing around because obviously I knew with BMW it's not fast in a straight line, but it looked like everyone had really high wing on, which kind of surprised me. Like you probably saw in race 3 the amount of times I went off in turn 1, like half spinning on the brakes because I was running like 0 wing or something like that. So, but no, like I really enjoyed it. Like all the racing, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that race 3 was pretty easy for you in the end. Were you particularly concentrated on that one? Did you have any aims, or was it just, let's see if I can get a new fastest lap?
I had 2 really. So first one was obviously seeing how long I could be consistent over a distance. That's what I needed to work on this because after I tried the pro qualifiers and my consistency wasn't particularly good in the BMW. So obviously I thought I nailed that in that race. I think for about 10 laps I went 7-3, 7-3, 7-3, 7-4. I think I don't even know. I didn't take a look at the end of the race, but like constantly I could see all my dash coming up. That was quite key. But actually, the thing I wanted to try and lap back of the field. But obviously, then I spun off 2 or 3 times in turn, like half spun in turn 1 a few times. It just destroyed the tyre. So I didn't have that 2-second buffer, which I needed to get to the back of the train. So after that, I just started typing messages to you guys. If you read them, Joe, if you managed to read them. Did you read them?
Yeah.
I wrote the last one and spun off in turn 1.
Well, it didn't stop you too much. You easily got that win by 26 seconds in the end. Of course, we've seen you drive the V8 supercars. We've seen you drive in the GT3s. We've seen you drive in the Formula Renault as well. Any idea what you'll be concentrating on in season 2?
Sorry, I was having a drink. to me, I think I'm going to have to focus more on the GT3 side with upcoming stuff happening, like news and stuff like that. Because that's the main reason, one of the main reasons. But obviously, I want to focus on the GT3. So the V8 supercars is like a reason why I do that is because it's the hardest car. It's the hardest car to drive. So it's all in the drive and not in the setup. So that's the best one to like get rid of bad habits, such as like tire wear and stuff like that. That's what I found when I drove at Oran Park. But obviously, then I've got like World GT again, which I've teamed up with CQR for. So in the BMW as well. So obviously, like this league, I used to test stuff for that. So obviously, I made another setup for the team for that. When I was at BSR TC, I used that just for a bit of fun and a bit of racecraft, really. Just keep looking away, trying a few things. Like the move like around the outside of Degna 2 and Degna 1. I learned that from BSR TC.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, one more round to go. And before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
You guys for getting the stream up last second, looking if you'd actually catch the crash on camera, which I was quite happy with. The admins, so Dima and a few others, I don't know who the exact admins are, Kip and stuff like that, for letting me join in the league. So obviously I joined in for a bit of fun. I didn't really join. I didn't realise it was actually the Showdown, so feel a bit bad a little bit, but thanks to those guys really, and that's it really, because I was on my own, funny enough.
Yeah, cheers, Josh, for very much entertaining us throughout. And yeah, hope to see you on Apex Racing TV very soon.
Tuesday, so.
Cool. See you then.
See you later.
So I think that's about it with the interviews, unfortunately. But yeah, of course, Joe, one more round in this championship, and Dima, Flanagan, Cullinan, and Clark all had plenty of issues today, and I think it's still just as close coming out of this round as it was going in.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tense final round for those guys. Lots and lots of planning and practice going into that round for those guys potentially trying to win the championship. So good luck to those guys over the coming week, and hopefully we can see some good battles live on Apex Racing TV.
Yeah, hopefully. And of course, catch that one, the final round of the season. Same time next week, at 8:15 will be going live, and I think the next event on Apex Racing TV will be the BSR Masters on Tuesday evening. So certainly catch that one. But from us for now, we bid you goodbye, and yeah, hopefully you'll catch us for the final round of the season next week.